Welcome or welcome back to my channel. I'm Hannah Blackwell, and today is going to be another episode of Thursday Reads. Now, I know that it has been a couple of weeks since I have posted one of these, so I think the wrap up of my recent reads is going to be a little bit longer. I have actually technically read 10 books in the last 2 weeks, so I have a little bit to talk about, but 2 of those are novellas. I'm not going to really get into them. And actually 3 of them, and then 4 of them are all from the same series. So I think I'm going to be discussing those as a whole. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, I would love to have you do so. All of my social media is linked down below in the description, including my Goodreads, Instagram, and Twitter. Don't forget to click the like button and comment down below and let me know if you've read any of these books and which ones were your favorite. Let me know what you are currently reading too. With all of that out of the way, let's just get into this video. The first 2 books, I've got my Kindle here so I can see what I read because it was so many books in a short period of time. My anxiety has been so incredibly high, I'm just diving in, and also a lot of it has to do with a certain series that I will get to. Right after my last wrap up, I did read 2 novelettes that were just smutty time. The first one was Her Dirty Pirates by Kaylee Kane. This is a pirate smutty erotica basically, and it was fantasy as well, and honestly I thought it was awful. I gave it 2 stars because I guess there could be worse, but it was pretty bad. And I have read plenty of smutty novelettes, you know, I'm not gonna rate it poorly just because it's short or just because it's mostly erotica. This was just very poorly written, and it was just bad. I don't recommend it. I'm not going to get into it. The next one I read was another smutty novelette. This was Sentenced to the Tentacle Chair by, let me see if I got this right, Sibley Stamps. I gave this one 4 stars. This was really good. It's very short, 20 pages or something like that. I heard about this from my friend Maggie. I'll have her channel linked down below. And yeah, I was chatting with her about it when I read it, and it was actually really funny and fun. It's like a sci-fi dystopian novelette, and we have this girl who basically, she gets in trouble, and in this futuristic sci-fi world, if you get in trouble, you can choose to basically endure sexual punishment, and there's this chair where tentacles come out, and she has to endure 24 hours of it, and it gets more difficult each hour. It was extremely unrealistic and crazy, but if you're looking for a fun sci-fi 20-page romp, just have at it. I thought it was well done for what it was. I thought it was really well done. I actually thought it was well written for what it is. So that was a good time, 4 stars. Next, I read The Jasmine Throne by Tasha Suri. I'd already talked to you guys a little bit about this because the last, I think, couple of Thursday reads I had little updates, but I did finish this. I gave it 4 stars. I really, really, really enjoyed this. It was such a cool magic system, such a cool world. The writing was beautiful. I did knock it down some in terms of the star rating for confusion, and I have a lot of experience reading fantasy, so this is, I think it could have been a little bit more easy to understand, and I did think it was a little bit daunting. Now, I did notice 3/4 of the way through the book that there is a cast of characters, which was helpful, and that's in the back, and it tells you who each character is and what their role is, and that was helpful. But in general, I did feel like this could be a little bit less confusing. So I rated it 4 stars. I might have given it a 4.5. I'll put it up on the screen. But it was just really fun, really beautiful. I'm looking forward to continuing on in the series and seeing where it goes. The magic system, like I said, is really cool, and the writing is really beautiful, and I really like the characters. It's just that some of the politics and what's going on in the world is just a little bit confusing to me. Next, I read a really fun fantasy romance called Captive of the Pirate King by Rebecca F. Kennedy, or Kenny. Kenny, Rebecca F. Kenny. And this was a really fun time. I especially liked the first 2/3 over the last 1/3. I thought it could get a 5-star, but the last 1/3 kind of like lost me a bit. I thought it could have been, I don't know, there was a part that I thought could have been shorter, and then I thought that the writer could have taken the last part and maybe made it more climactic. But I just thought that towards the end, the plot structure and like what the author paid attention to wasn't exactly what I thought it would be, and not in a good way. But other than that, mostly I really enjoyed this book. I loved the characters. I loved how the romance went because it was kind of not insta, but kind of insta a little bit. But then things go back, and this happens pretty early on, and then it becomes something completely different. So there's a lot of fun tropes in here that I wasn't expecting, and it was a good time. It was a really good time. Plus pirates, and I think that the author did a really good job, like, with the pirate stuff. There was a lot of like pirate lingo in this and terminology, and I thought that was really fun. It was really adventurous, and the steam was good. All in all, I thought this was a really good time. 4 stars. It was exactly what I wanted at the time, and I'm looking for more pirate romances, especially pirate fantasy romances. I have a few on my TBR, but this was a good time. Next, I picked up the Tea Dragon Society by Kay O'Neill. I've been wanting to read this for a while, and to be honest, I read this standing up at my library because I didn't want to take it out. Just because I knew I would probably then hold it for a few weeks, and you know, it's in the kids section. I don't want to take something away from the kids for too long, if that makes sense. Because my library doesn't have like a bunch of copies, you know what I mean? They just had one. So I just stood there, and it took me like 20 minutes maybe, and I read it, and it was so sweet. So cute. I loved the story in it. I'd like to pick up a copy for myself and continue on in the series. It's something that I think my kids could really like later on in life, you know, when they're a little bit older. Right now they're like 3 and 2, almost 2. I just thought it was very cute. It's about this little girl who meets this tea dragon society, and these people have these tea dragons, and these dragons make tea, and I don't know. It's about like finding a place where you belong and found family and the importance of tradition, and just like a lot of really good wholesome themes in it that I really thought were cute. Plus the art was gorgeous. I thought it was just beautiful. It was a good time. Next, I read Devoured by Monsters by Katie May and Ann Denton. This was on KU, like I think all of these romances have been on KU. And this is the second book in the series, and I really liked it. This is a dystopian monster romance. So in this world, monsters have taken over, and humans are no longer at the top of the pecking order, and monsters are. And we have this girl who is living with a group of people like in the wilderness, like in the woods, trying to survive. And when she goes on a raid to the city to get supplies, she gets caught, she gets sold to monsters, and come to find out she is the 4 terrors, and the 4 terrors are like the 4 monsters that rule the world, I guess. And she is their mate. And so this is about that, and it's also about an uprising because lower ranked monsters are trying to raise their ranks, raise their power levels by killing other monsters, and come to take over the terrors. So they're trying to kill the terrors so that they can then be in charge. But there's some other things at play. This is mostly just fun and super, super, super spicy time. This book is spicy. The first book is spicy. It's really spicy. The main character comes at it honest. She is, you know, very open about her sexuality, but at the same time, she doesn't want anyone controlling her. She does not want to be a slave. She does not want to be imprisoned. She doesn't feel that she is the mate of these monsters. But the second book is really cool. I like how it builds off the first book, and I gave it 4 stars and had a great time. This one just came out, so it's going to be a little bit before the third book comes out, but when it does, I'm looking forward to picking it up. And I don't know if I mentioned, but obviously this is why I choose, because there's 4 monsters in 1 heroine. So obviously check trigger warnings, because this book gets a bit dark, like the first book too. The first book especially is really dark. They're both dark. They're both dark. So check your trigger warnings. So next, I read 4 books from the same series. I own 3 of them because I was like, well, I'll just buy the first 3 now that I know I like the first, and that'll get me through a while. Like 4 days later, and I read them all, including the prequel novella. I don't know. This is a series, The Zodiac Academy, by Carolyn Peckham and Susan Valente. And this is not a series I ever thought I would read. It is a fantasy romance world set in an academy, and we have our twins who are Geminis. They are the celestial heirs of this Fae kingdom, but they don't know it. They're in the mortal world, and they are just kind of trying to survive, trying to get by. But it turns out they're changelings. They were actually heirs to the celestial throne, and they're taken back to this academy. It's very much like Harry Potter for adults, and I know people had said that before, and I didn't really like believe it, but it's true. There are so many similarities, but it's really cool because the magic and the houses and people's powers, the forms they take when they're shifting, if they're shifters, it all has to do with astrology, which I find very cool because I'm very interested in astrology. And so I really liked that, but I was really surprised because this is a bully romance. I've never read a bully romance before, and I was pretty sure I was not a fan of them, but apparently I am. And so I read the first book, The Zodiac Academy, The Awakening, and this is when they're brought to the academy and they find out that they are these heirs. They honestly just want to get their inheritance, but they find out they have to pass the reckoning and then graduate to get their inheritance. And so that's all they want. But there's these 4 heirs to the kingdom who have basically, their fathers have taken over the place of the king and queen who have since passed away. They were killed. So they've taken over thinking that these 2 girls basically were dead. And they didn't know that they were alive and living in the mortal realm. So those 4 heirs have taken over, and their sons are in the school. And when these 2 girls show up, Tori and Darcy, when they show up, all hell breaks loose, and they don't want them there, and they don't believe them that Tori and Darcy don't want the throne. They just want their inheritance. They just want to get by, learn more about the powers. They don't want to be in charge of the kingdom, but the 4 heirs don't care. They just want to get them gone. And so hence the bullying commences, and it's dark. Check out trigger warnings for this before you go in. But it is very dark, and I was surprised by how much fun I had with this. It was such an amazing time. I'm hooked. I'm like in freaking quicksand right now. I have to read this other book because I have a live show on Saturday, and I'm having trouble getting to it and like putting the time into it I need, just because like I'm so stuck. I am stuck. Stephanie from Steph Love said, there's like crack in the pages, and I'm telling you that's so true. It's like I can't stop turning the page. Yesterday I read over 400 pages, and I had to force myself to go to bed. Like I had to force myself. And that was when I was reading the 3rd book. So I read the first book first, and then I read the Ruthless Fae, the 2nd book, and I really like this one. And then after this, I read the prequel novella, and that was fine. I mean, it explained like one thing, gave you an answer for one thing, but I think I gave it 3 stars. Oh, I didn't tell you. I gave the first one 4 stars. So I gave the first one 4 stars. I gave the second one, I'm getting these mixed up. Oh my god. I gave the second one, Ruthless Fae, 5 stars. Then I gave the prequel novella 3 stars. And then I just read The Reckoning, and I gave this book 5 stars. So all in all, it's feeling like a 4.5, 5-star series for me. I am hooked. But let's get to what I am currently reading. I'm also reading Sarah J. Maas's The Assassin's Blade. I've read the first 2 books in the series, Throne of Glass and Crown of Midnight. And I wanted to go ahead and get to this one and get it over with. I know you can wait until after Air of Fire to read this one. A lot of people say that's a good thing to do, but I'm trying to get it over with because I don't like short stories. So I'm just doing it. I'm just doing it, and that's fine. So I am like just maybe 30 pages in. I don't know, my kid took my bookmark out, so I don't know. I think I'm like 35 pages in, and it's fine. I'm interested in finding out what happens so I can know a little bit more about Selena's backstory and like some of the things that happened that she's referenced a few times in the first two books, in Throne of Glass and Crown of Midnight. But I honestly I don't think it's going to be like the best. It's probably going to be like a 3 or 4 star for me. I'm thinking I'm going to be more of a fan of the second half of the series. But yeah, so I'm going to continue on. I'll let you know my final thoughts when I get through this. This is the book that I have to read for the live show on Saturday. I am like 20% of the way through once again. My child took my bookmark and I don't know. I'm like 20% into the book. And I am enjoying this. I'm having trouble, honestly, like going back and forth between Zodiac Academy and this because the writing styles are so different. And it's almost like Zodiac Academy is almost like highlighting in a negative way how flowery JLA's writing is and how much time she takes. And in this first 20%, I'm almost like, what's happened in this first 20%? I feel like stuff happened and then we're just back to where we were at the start. So I just don't see the point of it. I'm a little bit annoyed, to be honest. So I guess you could say I'm not having the best time with this book, but I'm hoping it turns around. I'm hoping it does. I generally don't have the best times in the first half of her books, and I generally enjoy the second half much more. So I'm hoping that's where we are with this one. Hopefully it picks up, and right now I feel like not enough is happening, and I'm not even a plot-driven reader, but like for a fantasy romance, I just kind of expect something a little bit different, and I feel like this is a little bit too pretty. And the explanations that are happening, I feel like she tells you what happens and then she has the characters explain what happened. But somehow after you've been explained what happened like 3 times, you still don't for sure know what happened. And that's kind of annoying me. I don't know if I'm alone on that. Am I alone on that? Is that like a thing? Is that a thing with these books? Like, or is this in my imagination that she explains things, overly explains things, and yet still they're not fully explained? It's kind of bothering me a little bit, to be honest. I'm hoping it picks up. I'm hoping it gets better. I'm hoping that's just how this first bit is feeling for me. And hopefully, like, I'm not like ruining my experience by also reading Zodiac Academy next to it. But anyway, we'll see how it goes. I do have to read this by Saturday, and today is Wednesday. So I really need to pick up the pace. I have 450 pages left, so it shouldn't be an issue. I have the audiobook, but I need to get to it. So after Assassin's Blade and A Crown of Guild and Bones, I think I'll probably be reading the Zodiac Academy. So if we're thinking about like what books am I going to pick up next after these two, I'm not going to lie to myself. My TBR is not happening. So, which kind of sucks. Like I just filmed it and it's posted, but like that TBR is basically like, it never happened. I'm reading the Zodiac Academy this week. That's what's going to happen. If I pick anything else up, I don't know what it would be. I think it's going to be the Zodiac Academy. We'll find out. Oh, I did forget to tell you. I did forget to tell you that in the last 2 weeks, I also have read half of The Great Hunt. I forgot to mention that. So I am halfway through. You can see my bookmark in there, but I am shelving it. So this is a softie enough for now. And honestly, I already missed the live show for the discussion that Becca is doing with Sandra and Cassie and Mal, and I missed it anyway. So I figure like I'll pick it back up when I'm feeling it. Right now I'm not feeling it, and nothing much has really happened. And I feel like I'm not in the mood for a meandering, book right now. So it's been softy enough. I'll come back to it. Okay, so that's it for now. Those are the books that I have read, what I'm reading, and what I think I'm going to pick up next. Zodiac Academy. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to click the like button, comment down below, and let me know what you are currently reading, if you've read any of these books before. Am I crazy about The Crown of Gilded Bones? If I'm not, please let me know, because I feel like I'm feeling this feeling right now. Let me know. Am I alone in this? Also, have you read Zodiac Academy? Because I need to gush about it with someone. So Anyway, don't forget to click the subscribe button, and all of my social media is linked down below in the description, including my Goodreads, Instagram, and Twitter. Until next time, fellow readers, keep reading and living your best life.
You're trying to stay strong and fake a smile until I look away. But I've known you too long, it hurts to watch your blue eyes fade to gray as you fade away.